28. No one's quite sure of who wrote this. It could be David, it could be anybody. It was certainly somebody with a family. It is also a song of ascent. And you say, what does that mean? I've explained it a couple of times, but down here you might be alone and forlorn and kind of saddened and, not really going anywhere. And suddenly somebody introduces you to, well, have you talked to God lately? And you start trying to talk to God a little bit, and pretty soon God starts talking back saying, I got a great plan for your life. And you get excited about that. And then after a while you keep talking to God and everything, and God gives you an opportunity. P-P-O-R-T-U-N-I-T-Y. Not bad for a Sunday morning, Chanter. He gives you an opportunity to, a job or something like that you can do. And instead of a nothing going nowhere life, you hear of a plan for your life from this God. And finally then this God gives you an opportunity. Yeah, we can use a fine young man like you. Why don't you start today or tomorrow, and we'll go ahead and go from there. And after a while, opportunity leads to a broadening of life. In other words, through many perspectives. You meet a girl at work or something, and you guys start falling in love and all this. And whereas you were alone and miserable and going nowhere, now you got a nice job going on for you. You're doing a great job. You're making some money. You met a girl, and she's real pretty, and you're going out, and you're talking about, sharing some life together and all this stuff. And then eventually you get married, and then you have critters. And pretty soon, you got these critters going everywhere, little children now. And you got a whole family. Whereas before you were alone, going nowhere with nothing. You see what's happening here? You are ascending in purpose and person. You are ascending. Does that make you a better purpose or person? Maybe, maybe not. You can be the worst husband in the world, or you can be the best husband in the world. From a moral perspective, your life can be broadened in good things, great jobs, hard work, and accomplishment, or it can be, drugs and sex and all this other stuff and rock and roll. It can be not good. But assuming it's good, because it is a song of ascent. How do they spell ascent? A-S-C. C, that's it. A song of ascent. You're bettering yourself, your purpose, but most importantly, your person. I used to be down and out, bummed out, never had anything. Now I'm up here, I'm maybe a business partner, or maybe I'm a CEO myself, I'm an owner, and I can start a lot of other new kids that are still here on their journey. And then most of all, of course, when you get up here, and you're the CEO, and you look back with eyes of yourself, and you say, wow, I could have never done this without God. Now, oftentimes, God's the last one to get credit for anything, but the beauty of the Psalms of Ascent is eventually we get to a place and a reality, unlike the Shigionoth. That's where you fall apart and you go, ah. This is, you get to the place where you realize that I'm not all I think I am, but my God is. Well, the psalmists characterized this in the best possible ways. And if you study the Psalms, the book of Psalms, you'll see many songs of ascent. And like I've said, even the Passover, the Hallel, even the Passover sacred song at the end, the Hallel, is a song of ascent. It's like Psalm 113, 114, 15. No, that's not right. It's 1, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. It ends on 18. And if you read Psalm 118, it's real short and real sweet. And you know what it says? I couldn't have done nothing without God. In fact, that's what the whole El is. El is God and His works. His works, not mine. I got to participate in it. But I'd have been nothing. I like that song we sing occasionally. If it had not been for the Lord on my side, where would I be? Where would I be? Folks, that's in essence, that's a song about a psalm of ascent and how God deals with it. Well, what about the family? This is very important. This is one step along the way. And it too is a song of ascents. And one of them is building a formal, strong, blessed family. Now, having said all of this, and remember, we started down here with your average Joe, your average loser, or sees himself as a loser. I'm going nowhere, I got nothing. And then all of these opportunities, still not enough. The final blessing is when he realizes God did all this and He's allowed me to participate in it. That's when you can kick back and say, wow, what a life. What a life. And it's not of my own doing, not in an arrogant, boastful way. But like Paul says, everything I have, I count as nothing next to knowing Jesus Christ is Lord. Old Testament, New Testament, God's teaching the same method. Ben, I got a great plan for your life. Unfortunately, time is running out. So get some notes on Lamentations, will you? I'm just screwing with you. Look, Roger's back here laughing because he didn't point at me this time. Listen, when I die, you can all stand around the grave and laugh at me and stomp on it. Get back at me for all those years. Anyway, one of the greatest revelations as a Christian is when we can quiet ourselves long enough to say, Lord, it's been you all along, hasn't it? And maybe you'll hear, sure, it sure was. And maybe he won't hear a sound because he'll say to himself, it's about time, Sandy. I'm glad you know that now. Pretty cool, huh? But on the other hand, I need my marker. On the other hand, God, as much as He wants to bless us as a father, is disciplined that if we start going the wrong way anywhere in this ascent, what do you think He's going to do? He's going to get out that wooden spoon. And He's going to say, no, that's not allowed. Get back up here where you belong. Now, you have the choice to continue on this path, or you could be an obedient child and get back up here where you belong. Okay? Now, Psalm 128 is right here, talking about the family, the married critters, and the babies, and what can be if you take advantage of God's blessings. And one day you'll realize, I sit at my house sometimes at night and I think about the house I grew up in. And it was a smaller house, but back in those days all the houses were small. Nobody built these cathedrals along the side of lakes. And there were 4 boys in there and my dad and my mom, which didn't take up much room. She was really short. So, but that was it. 3 bedrooms, Mom and Dad were in one, Stephen and I were in the other. And Bobby got his own room, and John had died. So it was Stephen and I. So I had to put up with that monkey until he finally went off to play war. And that was great, because then I got my own room finally. Of course, Bobby was gone and married. Dad was dead, and I finally had my own room. But there was nobody there to boast about it. I walk around my own house now, the house I'm in now, I live in, and I look at it sometimes and I say, wow. Especially since Charlie came along and destroyed it. You don't remember that? It took me a year to rebuild it. Carol and I went room by room, rebuilt the whole house. And now I walk around and I go, there is no way, when I think back to my house that we lived in, no way that I deserve this house. And I just look at all the little things and all the little blessings and the nicks in the wall from the kids and this and that. And you're right here. Psalm 128. Then I look back at our whole lives from when I was a little kid at 1612 Northeast 16th Terrace in Fort Lauderdale. It's amazing I remember that. And I look at the plan. I never knew the plan. I still don't know now. I'm running out of time too. I look at the opportunity. I could have been a broadcaster and an advertising man. Or I could get into this ministry thing. God called right there and said, well, you know what? I didn't have to get married after college, but I did. That's what songs of ascent are all about. Remembering the works of God in your life, and in your life, and in your life. The Hallel is all about how God pulled a whole nation of people out of slavery and sin and death and pain and suffering and brought them into a land of milk and honey, gave them their own house, made it really pretty. And said, think for a minute about that little shack you were living in Egypt. And look where you are now. And somebody sat down and wrote about that. Psalm 128. How blessed is everyone who reveres the Lord. Yours may be translated fear, but the word there is actually to reverence or to revere someone who has done you great favor, has bestowed upon you incredible gifts, which you may or may not have ever even acknowledged, but nevertheless happened. How blessed is everyone who reveres the Lord. What do you mean by that? I'm down here, I'm alone, I'm a bummer, I got nothing going on. You're still breathing, and you don't look too emaciated, so you've been eating something. And you're wearing clothes, thank goodness, we don't want to see all that. And you're able to walk and keep breathing, and you're smart in some ways, stupid in other ways. So as much as you want to say, I got nothing, I think you got a lot to start with. You know, those great cathedrals all over Egypt all over Egypt, Europe, they weren't built in a day. Hundreds of years. Tens of thousands of people all bringing a brick and putting it together. Today you go to Europe, anywhere, what are you going to see? Cathedrals everywhere. For crying out loud, there's 4 Notre Dames in this world. So if you didn't like the first one, well, we got more. Come on, let me show you. Notre Dame salesman. Think about it. All this. But the beauty of the Song of Ascent is God is always at the end. God is always at the beginning. The only one that doesn't know that is the pilgrim that's traveling that path. How blessed is, listen to the word, everyone. Boy, that sounds awful New Testament, doesn't it? If anyone comes in unto me, what is God going to do? Bless them. He's not going to boot you out. Anyone comes to me, I will no way cast out. No, I won't even think about casting them out. How blessed is everyone. This is a guy looking now from up here. How blessed is everyone who reveres the Lord and who has disciplined himself to walk in His ways. That goes all the way back here. Even to here. When God says, I've got a plan for you. I've got a plan for everyone I've ever created. How blessed is everyone who reveres the Lord and continues to be disciplined and walk in His ways. You shall eat of the fruit of your hands, and you will be happy, and it will be well with you. One who reveres God, decides to walk in His way, God immediately blesses his work, his friends, his life. Your enemies will be my enemies. Your friends will be my friends. That's the covenant. All the way back to Abraham, remember? I will give you a name. I will make you a great nation. I will give you a land and a place to live, a house. Your enemies will be my enemies. Your friends will be my friends. Those are the 5 points of the covenant with Abraham. That's what started all of this stuff. How blessed is everyone who reveres the Lord and walks in His ways. It will be well with you. You shall eat of the fruit of your hands. I will bless your opportunities. I will bless your life. You will be happy. It will be well with you. What about this woman I married? Your wife shall be like a fruitful vine. Now you can interpret that within your house. A fruitful vine within your house. What if you had a big old vine in your house? You didn't even have to go outside to pick grapes. You know, you might have to get off the couch. Unless you let it grow over the couch, then you could lay there forever. Boom, here, have a grape. Boom, here. Mash it. Put it on some peanut butter. It's good. We call it jelly. God blesses your work. God blesses your marriage. Your wife shall be as a fruitful vine growing. Oh, well, I guess you could interpret that meaning she'll be into everything. Very dangerous. What's that?
I didn't hear what you said. She's doing what?
I'm making a joke here.
Then you don't have to say it again.
A wife shall be as a fruitful vine within your house. I said that could be interpreted she'll be into everything.
Oh.
There's nothing you're going to hide from her.
Watch it, you are numbered here. There's 3 to 5 of us.
Lamentaciones. Your children will be like olive plants around your table. What in the world does that mean? Well, we all know about olive plants. They start little from mom and dad. Mom and dad are sitting here with olives hanging all over. And then pretty soon new little shoots come up from the same roots of mom and dad. And they grow up. And they make the bush bigger, or the tree bigger, olive tree. And they come up and they all over the place. This is how the olive tree literally lives forever. Eventually, mom and dad are going to get too old to produce anymore. And their leaves will fall and their limbs will be hardened and become dried wood. But if you don't cut them off and to remove them, they'll stand there forever as the little ones will be growing around them. And when those little ones grow up and the same thing happens, then the grandchildren come up. And then the great-grandchildren come up. Like I said in church one day, it takes 4,000 and what did I say, 88 people? 4,088 people have to be involved for the past 12 generations to make you. Think about that. Was it worth all their efforts? All the wars they fought, all the famines they starved in, all the crashes of the stock market they endured, all the pestilence, disease, cardiovascular headaches, COVID-19, 12 generations of pain, suffering, and struggle. And yet they climbed, and they climbed with the grace of God. They went until they got to the point where they said, finally, Tom Chanter has been born. Was it worth it, boys? I don't know. But see, my brain thinks like that. 4,088 people in 12 generations to make me. That's simply from a physical, traditional, genealogical sense. The fact of the matter is, God had it planned 12 generations ago. Probably more, I just couldn't go back any further than that. For 12 generations, God said, oh, he's coming. He's coming. Your children shall be as olive plants around your table. Think about those pronouns. Your table. Where'd you get that table, Shirley? God gave it to you. Around your table are the children. Your strength, your initiative now enables them to live, hopefully, toward God. Behold, thus shall a man be blessed who reveres the Lord. You mean all of that's on my shoulder? Pretty much. I got a little 3-year-old and a 5-year-old grandchildren, sons, that I want to buy bumper cars for. Maybe that's not part of the Lord's plan, but Grandpa would sure like to see it. I've got 2 sons. I've got a daughter-in-law. I never knew. She's a stranger to me. Sweetest woman on the planet. How God put her in our family is beyond my understanding. I mean, look at it. And I walk around the house at night. I look at that house. Carol's asleep. The house is quiet for the first time. And I say, wow. This ain't the house I grew up in. No, it's not. Is it better? It's bigger. Got more stuff in it. But you'd be hard-pressed to match the love that was in that house when 3 boys were beating the heaven out of each other and loving every minute of it. My dad sitting at the table, the head of the table, just looking at these Neanderthals that he produced. And his wife would come running out, you guys shut up, our daddy's going to kill you. We believed her. Daddy would kill us. Daddy's 6'6", 6'4", 6'5". To us, who were that tall. Daddy was a Nephilim. Your daddy's coming home. He's going to come down this hallway. There's a hallway of death. I walk around my empty house and I look, wow, this isn't so bad. My kids are doing well. My grandkids are a blast. Blessed is the man who fears and reveres the Lord. I think there's probably a lot of people in this world that would change places with me right now. Have a wife that loves them. Have kids that adore them. To little Luke, the 3-year-old, I'm almost like God himself. I'm not saying that. I'm not blaspheming. But anything I do, he just comes over. He sticks to me. That's what Carol says. This child just sticks to you. And he's as goofy as you are. And we just look at each other and we'll stare in each other's eyes and then he'll go. Then I'll go. We'll sit there and make stupid faces at each other. Won't say a word. For an hour. And Carol just laughs at you. What are you two doing? Being me. Sadly, he's being him. He might have gone off the wrong direction. And then finally at the very end, he'll go. Of course, I have to answer that. And then I get home and I just sit there and think, I just stared into the eyes of a 3-year-old boy for an hour. And at the end of it, he asked me a question. And I answered it. And there was love. Stupid, but love. You know, I came home one Sunday, actually it was Christmas Eve. Christmas Eve, and it was real cold. Do you remember one of those? It was so cold and everybody was fussing. I was loving it, but everybody was fussing. It's too cold in this church. And of course, you guys turn all those heaters on. I hate that. And I got home, and in our front window, there's a window, and then there's a archy window over the regular window in our front room. And outside, there's a street light on the corner of my property. My house is here, it's on the corner. And that little archway, the street light is a 360-degree street light. So it shines right through that window and up on my living room wall every night. I've been there for 27 years, every night. But this one Christmas Eve, Carol and I came home, we wrapped the presents, we watched George Bailey get in all kinds of trouble, and we had a snack, and then she went on to bed. And I couldn't sleep, so I sat up for a while. And I was walking around my house thanking God. My kids were in their beds asleep. And the tree was a big old giant tree. Presents under it. And I just sat. And I looked at that light coming through that window. Now there was condensation on that window. Just from the inside being warm and the outside being cold. Condensation on the window, and outside that condensation had froze. So now there's ice on that window. I forget, it was like going down to 29 that night or something like that. And when I looked at the shadow, the light shining through the ice on the window, I'm not kidding you, you're going to think I'm lying here, but there was a perfect shadow replica of the Last Supper. Christ in the middle with all the guys there. And I went, holy moly. And it was just there. And I looked, and it was there. I went outside and looked at the window. Couldn't see nothing out there. Came back inside, looked at the shadow, and there it was. Jesus in the middle, the table, the guys. I went and tried to wake Carol up, and she wouldn't wake up. Don't leave me alone. I said, you got to see this. And I took a picture of it. Well, you can't take a picture of a shadow. So I went and woke up Devin. My youngest said, Devin, you got to see this, Dad. What are you, out of your mind? Get up! I need somebody to see this. And I dragged him in there and put him in and said, see that? Yeah, what is it? It's the Last Supper. Well, yeah, it is, I guess. Okay, tell God good night. He went back to bed, and I said, nobody wants to see the Lord and all His blessings shining on our wall in this beautiful house. I saw it. I saw it. It wasn't kind of like, boom. I couldn't have drawn it if I had to picture myself. Then I read Psalms like 128. Listen to this beautiful word of God. How blessed is anyone, everyone, who reveres the Lord and walks in His ways. You shall eat of the fruits of your hand. You will be happy, and it will be well with you. I've had a pretty happy life. I can say that. I've had some hurts and heartaches. I know what pain is. I've had a lot of operations. But overall, I got to be like Jimmy Buffett. Some of it's some of it's magic, some of it's tragic. But I've had a great life all the way. That was the ending song he wrote about his own grandfather. Some of it's magic, some of it's tragic. Occasionally we all go the wrong way. Sometimes we get clobbered and we didn't go anywhere. But overall, I've had a great life all the way. Your wife shall be as a fruitful vine within your house, your children like olive plants around your table. Behold, thus shall the man be blessed who reveres his Lord. The Lord bless you from Zion, and may you see the prosperity of Jerusalem all the days of your life. Indeed, may you see your children's children. May completeness be upon Israel. That's in the singular, folks. May every man be made complete as this man is. May every man know this as this man does. And you will see it, the beauty of it, that last verse, in your lifetime. May you see this blessing in your lifetime. This is a love letter from God, folks. It's a song of ascents. It's the Lord saying, look back and see what you've done. And it's your ability to say, Lord, this hasn't been my will. This has been yours. And I'm glad I did it. After Jesus said, your will, not mine, he was crucified. But he also was took the chair next to God the Father Almighty, and all authority in heaven and earth was given unto him. Psalmist wrote about that, and he didn't even know he was. Pretty cool, huh? One little psalm, unnoticed, probably unread in most Christians' lives, and all God's trying to tell you is, I got a plan for your life. And it will be beautiful. And you will be blessed. And everyone around you will be blessed. Folks, that is the covenant that God made with Abraham. All right? Not bad for a Sunday morning, eh? All right, we got to go. Let's go. We're not